recently, we'll turn to life of a different kind, just outside Charlesland in Greystones. We got some pictures in from Sinn Féin councillor Nicola Lawless of what appears to be an illegal dump of the picture's pretty shocking there. Nicola's on the line. Nicola, good morning to you.
Good morning, Declan. How are you?
Okay, thank you. So whereabouts is this and how big is it?
Well, it is just up from just before the entrance where Go Gym is and the skate park. So it's literally just off this small roundabout there, and it backs into a field. So it's fairly well hidden. You wouldn't see it from the road. You'd have to kind of go onto the track and in and around to actually see where it is. And
how big?
Yeah, it stretches quite the length of the field right up, Declan. I mean, the field is adjacent to the link road, going up as far as Kelly, and I'd say John and myself walked at least halfway up, if not a bit more, and it was just there was rubbish as far as the eye could see. That's being quite honest with you. And there could be possibly more further. We didn't walk that far. It was just a case of we couldn't. We were unable to. Just due to the ground itself, you know. Right, and
John is Deputy John Brady.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and tell me, does it look? Did it look recent? Did it look historical or in use or what?
No, yeah. Some of it looks quite recent. Some of it looks like it's been there a while. There's been a large patch of it which has been burnt. Which would be concerned as well. There would have been car tyres in it, and of course the fumes coming off any rubbish would be quite toxic to the environment as well. So it's a bit of both, Declan, to be quite honest with you now, you know. And as I say, we were very shocked to see the amount. We presumed when we were told about it, we went up to have a look and thought, it's you know, a couple of bags like you might see on the side of the road, because obviously this is increasing. And as I said, we went in, seen the first and went, oh God, you know. And then as we walked up around the corner, it just seemed to spread out further. And we were quite surprised that there was quite a large amount of rubbish being dumped, and obviously it has been going on for quite some time.
Right, it's Councillor Nicola Lawless, Sinn Féin councillor in Greystones. Let's talk to Joanne O'Dowd, Senior Executive Engineer of Waste Management Section of Wicklow County Council. Joanne, good morning.
Good morning, Declan.
Good morning. What do you make of all this?
Well, Declan, I suppose I went up to witness it myself last week, and it is a huge amount of waste dumped there, the worst that I have certainly ever seen. And we are taking the matter very seriously. We've had an environmental warden on site, and he spent a considerable amount of time going through all the waste, which is obviously not a very pleasant job, to try and see what's in there, what the damage may be, and also to find evidence and see if we can secure prosecutions against the individuals who are actually doing this. The other thing is, and I suppose our main priority at the moment is to try to get the site cleaned up and to get it secured that there can't be any further dumping. So as regards to that, we've served a notice under the Waste Management Act, which is a legal notice on the owners of the site, requesting them to secure it because it is on private property, and to remove the waste as well.
Right, so basically there's people who own the land, and they were, what appears to be on the outside anyway, they were trespassed onto their land for people dumping a hell of a lot of waste material. So you go through it looking for evidence of where the waste came from, but probably not necessarily point you to the people who actually dumped it.
Well, normally I suppose it's like any evidence, it's an investigation. So if we find names and addresses or anything that links the evidence back to where it may have come from, we will then follow it up. So if we find a name and address, we would ask to speak to that person, and if they tell us what they did with their waste, then obviously that's a connection to where it may have gone. But I suppose it's very important to emphasise that people are responsible for their waste until it is legally disposed of. So householders have an obligation to only give their waste to authorised waste collectors and people who can prove that they're authorised waste collectors. And as I said, it's a very important message to get out there that, you know, people really, if someone comes along offering them a good deal to get rid of their waste, and if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. Yes. And people need to be asking questions, and in actual fact, you know, even if you give your waste to someone unwillingly, you are still guilty of an offence.
And there was mentioned in the first reports of this that there were some private documents belonging to an individual from Dalkey. Be able to confirm that?
I can't confirm, Declan. I suppose I will say we have found a large amount of evidence, and we will be following it all through. As I wouldn't like to say anything that would prejudice the investigation, obviously.
Nicola was telling us there that the appearance was domestic waste, but tyres included as well, which would indicate something different.
There's a large amount of different types of waste, because there's also windows, there's some construction waste, there's household waste, there is clothes, a huge variety. So I suppose we don't know. It could be coming from a variety of different sources. It could be the same person bringing it all. We just don't know, and that will be one of the things we'll be investigating.
How far away from people's houses was this? Yeah, maybe Nicola knows that. Do you know?
Probably a few hundred metres. Sorry.
Yeah. So Nicola, how far away from people's premises, houses?
Yeah, I suppose it's fairly far away from actual...
So it's a bit isolated, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit isolated. I suppose the nearest would be the Farrankelly Close, kind of Eden Gate, if it extended up that far. We didn't walk... We were almost up to the top there, so there's not quite a lot of houses around that area. It's more commercial with their gym and skate park and that's there.
Right. Joanne, would you need a big truck, or would you need several journeys with a truck, or to
I would think so, definitely. Yeah, the volume of stuff that is there, you wouldn't have carried it in even in a small van. Some of it you would have nearly needed a truck.
And what about environmental, fallout from this? Can you just get all the surface stuff off, dump it somewhere else legitimately, and things can be returned, or is there far greater consequences of this?
I suppose we haven't found evidence of anything particularly sinister in the waste, but obviously there is always a residue, particularly where you have tyres burned and things like that, and it is undesirable. But I wouldn't say there's any reason for people in the neighbourhoods to be concerned or anything like that. Once it is cleaned up, it should be a clean site afterwards.
Yeah, do you get much of this?
Unfortunately, far too much, Declan. We have about 2,000 complaints a year for illegal dumping in County Wicklow, which is a huge resource drainer, I suppose, for the council in dealing with it, following it up and cleaning it up. We have a very good environmental enforcement team. We have 5 wardens and 4 technical staff, and they go out and they investigate all of this dumping. They arrange clean-ups where necessary, and then they would also manage and enforce the legal storage and movement of waste. So we're involved, I suppose, in anything to do with the waste business. And then illegal dumping is a huge problem, ongoing, and while we try our best to educate the public, there appears to be always an element of society that will continue to dump.
Yeah.
And what I would like to say to people today as well is, if they see dumping or believe they know someone who's dumping or anything like that, to let us know. And if I could just give you the number, it's 1890 54 88 37, which spells 1890 litter, if they want to ring in with any dumping that they see, and we will go out and investigate it and get it arranged for it to be cleaned up.
Many people will say, yeah, okay, I've seen illegal dumping, especially black bags being thrown along the N11 or the M11 and all that sort of stuff. But other people might say, yeah, and of course we're the dumping ground for a lot of Dublin waste that people drive into Wicklow, dump it and disappear. Is there any evidence for that?
Certainly some of the evidence we would find relates to Dublin. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but obviously there's plenty of locals who dump in their own backyard as well. So it's a variety. It would be normally from Wicklow and surrounding counties. Right.
So the investigations are continuing, and you're hoping...
Absolutely. And I suppose it's a long process that goes through the legal system, but we will follow it through to the absolute end as far as we can.
Right, okay. Well, thank you both. Thanks, Nicola, for bringing it to us our attention, and thanks very much indeed to Joanne. Okay,
no problem.
Good morning to you both. Thank you. Joanne O'Dowd, Senior Executive Engineer, Waste Management Section of Wicklow County Council, and Cllr Nicola Lawless of Sinn Féin for Greystones. Our number here is 087 77 11 103, and a lot of text coming in. I saw waste here, I saw waste there, a lot of waste around. Indeed, a lot of illegal dumping going on, as you heard. Now, of course, there will be text about the greater part of the controversy about the cost of legitimately giving your waste over and all that. But it's still an offence to dump litter and waste illegally. More on that as we go through the weeks. 087 77 11 103.
The Morning Show.